there, writer friends. It's Wednesday, so right on Wednesday. I love to stop by and talk to my wider community right after I get off a call with the Sovereign Writers Circle, which is my online community for healers who write and writers who heal. And generally we write together on Wednesdays, but when there's a fifth Wednesday in the month, we share our work. And today a group of brilliant healing writers got together, and there's so many themes that always come up again and again. In part, it's because we write together to similar prompts, and so people are inspired by some similar concepts. But it's also that sense of tapping into the collective unconscious together. It's that ability to say, we share a space, and so in certain ways, we share fragments of the same mind. And today, what came through again and again was that willingness to say, I'm not fine. That willingness to say there is more to my everyday lived experience and to my broader story than trying to keep smiling and buck up, baby, and just keep pushing. And I think that's certainly part of the human condition, that as truth tellers, we're willing to say, no, it's not all just keeping up appearances and, making sure that I'm keeping up with the neighbors and smiling all the time. Instead, it's the sense of, especially now in 2020, when some parts of our country, I'm in New York, the pandemic is a heck of a lot better than it was. And there's this sense of relief and that sense of what's happening beyond the gates, because we unfortunately are all living in our silos. We do this for lots of different reasons, but part of it's because that part of the country is safe and this part isn't, due to disease. We're all having a different set of experiences right now, but no matter where we are, it's not over. And that might be because infection rates are going up in your county, and it might be because an experience like this has changed all of us so utterly, to that degree in which none of us can say with any real honesty, oh, I'm fine, when someone says, how are you? Because we are all dancing with and moving with this immensely transformational, traumatic experience. And to be an artist right now, to be a writer, to be a healer, is to not necessarily get bogged down in that and depressed by it, but to be honest and authentic about what it has done to you over the last several months, whether you've lost anyone directly or been sick yourself, or whether it's just saying life as it was before mid-March is gone and will not be back. So there were so many different pieces of writing that came through today that I could highlight all of them. But the thing that I want to think about the most is that a couple of people responded to this thing we've been doing relatively often in the writer's circle these days, which has been an invitation to write a letter. And whether you think of that in a formal letter or you're just thinking about the sense that as a writer who's thinking about putting your words into the world, there's pretty much always an audience. I think about it as a story triangle. There's you, there's your story, and there's your audience. And you're constantly in a three-part relationship. And when you're imbalanced in any one way, your piece of writing or your story just doesn't work, right? So when you think about writing a letter, it may not be one you ever send. It may be something that's written to yourself. You are instantly putting yourself into that relationship that says, this is what I need to say, and this is what someone might need to hear. Not because you're trying to make them happy and you're trying to sell to them, though, sometimes we do use stories to persuade and to sell, but we write for someone in order to educate, inform, inspire, persuade, right? So when you write a letter to somebody as a writing exercise, you really do a lot in terms of honing that ability to tune into why you're saying something and what that person needs to hear. If they need your assurance, if they need more information or background, what is it that you're trying to convey? It's an idea of kind of taking your personal writing and bringing it one more step. So I would encourage you today to write a letter. And one of the most powerful pieces of writing that got shared today started out, Dear You. And it was one writer's letter to herself, but to a universal self that is very much trying to cope with the difficulties and the changes that are merging with this post and mid-COVID lives we're living, the addictions, the suffering, the worries that so many of us are coping with. So if you were to write a letter today that started, Dear You, that's both to you and perhaps to a greater you, what would you say? What would you be talking about? How compassionate could you be? How honest? What bits of the unspeakable might you be able to put on the page? Because sometimes it's when we speak the unspeakable that the real changes begin. I want to express my deepest gratitude for all of the writers today who showed up, who show up week after week, and who brought their honesty and their magic, their endless sources of inspiration for me, as are all the writers out there who are willing to show up to the page and be honest, not with some sort of agenda or to score points because there's hoping that they're going to get the most retweets and the most go viral in any given post, but because we are here right now to write, to heal, and we heal through writing. So, as ever, the writer in me sees the writer in you. If you're interested in the Sovereign Writers Circle, we are welcoming new members through next Wednesday. I'll drop that link below. But most important, give yourself a few minutes today. Start on a brand new piece of paper. Dear You, comma, and go from there and see what needs to appear for you today. It may just be for you, and it may be for others who need your one true voice. Blessings, dear writers. I'll see you next week.